Let me dig into that because your industry is filled with people that overpromise and underperform.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you, as somebody that is reputable, you have to go up against people that might be stretching the truth, BSing, not giving all the facts on maybe some of the details. How do you compete against that? Because if someone's going to say, I'll get you 4%, when you know damn well the truth is that you can only get them 5%, how do you compete in that industry and keep your integrity and build that trust?
Education and communication. I think that really, the best thing that you can do is you can try to provide resources for people. You can look to connect with them and give them what they need to get through this transaction successfully. I mean, at the end of the day, we're playing with people's lives, right? It is. And then you hear everyone say, like, I hear other lenders say the same thing, like, this is the biggest investment of your life and this and that. And they're not wrong. Like, no one's wrong in all that. But when you think about the fact that you're truly impacting people's families, their lives, their ability to sleep at night, their income and everything of that nature, the best thing you can do is just to try and help provide them and guide them and educate them so that they feel comfortable getting to their goals, try to understand those goals. And this is a sales industry that really is, unfortunately, I think one of the most unfortunate aspects of it, if you will, because you do run into those people who are very good at sales, but very bad at performing, right? They're really good at convincing you that you can get that 4%, and maybe you can get the 4%, like it's available, but they didn't know why you couldn't qualify. So for example, if a client comes to me to buy an investment property, and then they see my interest rate and say, yeah, this guy's giving me a rate that's much better. It's like, well, they gave you the rate on an owner occupied property because they don't even understand enough that they're different interest rates, something of that nature. And that's a really good example when someone comes back your way. But, so educate people, give them the information, let them make the decisions. I find that, you do, if you work hard to make sure that people have a good understanding, whether they work with you or not, you've at least done something good, right? I've helped them. They're in a better position. And if, it's unfortunate if I wasn't the one who saw them across the finish line, but it's from there, as long as I've done that and I keep doing that, then it grows exponentially. Focus on the business and doing a good job, and the rest falls into place.
Good stuff. All right, so let's talk about just getting started here. You start doing well, you make partner. At some point, we're cruising. The market's going bananas. It's 2008. Like, just talk about the shift in the market. Did you see things shifting? And then what was it like lending after the fact? Talk us through like that, I don't know, 18, 24 month period.
Yeah, I think that it was, leading up to that period, it was a different time in lending, subprime lending, which everyone is obviously familiar with through the 2006 to 2008 crash and that debacle. Subprime lending, which was just basically lending to people with lesser credit and other issues. That was a big part of business when I got into this. So it was business that I was part of as well. I had my hand in a lot of subprime loans, and now I was usually very cautious and careful with talking to my clients about, their ability to afford what they're getting into and doing things. But when you go into that crash, well, now all of a sudden, all of those subprime lenders closed. They closed their doors. I remember 𝗬𝘳𝐶𝗿 Bank was the first one, and when I saw the headlines of 𝗬𝘳𝐶𝐿 was closing their doors, that was something, right? It was like, wow, this is serious. We have to figure out what's going on here. And no one obviously knew what was about to happen and what we were about to experience. So one of the biggest things shifting was, like, I had to go from this world of where I use different type of guidelines, different types of lending practices and understanding to educate people on what their options were. So now I had to switch gears. So now all of a sudden, no one can, if someone is in a 700 credit score, how are you going to get them a loan? What am I going to do to help people? Well, FHA, here we are. FHA was a way to try and help people purchase a home if they had other things that kept them from qualifying for conventional financing. I think one of the best things that happened for me in that time frame is that most people, like anything, they're afraid of what they don't understand, right? And they label things like, oh, FHA is for people with bad credit. Like, no, it's not actually. They look at ARMs, adjustable rate mortgages are terrible vehicle for your money. Well, no, it's actually not. They're not for everyone, but if you have the right understanding of why they're beneficial and you use those appropriately, they're great vehicles for your money. So for me, it was then making that move, adapting and changing and saying, okay, I need to understand who can get loans, what types of loans in this environment. Around me, all around me, other lenders are getting out of the business, because prior to that, there were these huge booms, these refinance booms, where people were just, you couldn't walk into the grocery store without being solicited to refinance your home by the guy that's checking you out. Like, it was just, everyone was in the industry. And all those people who got in for quick money were now in a position where they're like, okay, wait, I don't really understand this business that well. I don't understand how to actually think outside the box or have an understanding of what people are looking at. And I'm going to quit. I'm not doing this anymore. I think I'm going to try my hand at something else. But the reality is that the lending industry is trillions of dollars every year. I mean, it is so much business and so many millions of transactions. And even in the time when things were crashing around us, there were a lot of people who needed help, and they needed someone good at what they do. They needed someone who was actually taking the time to explain it, understand it, and work towards it. That was one of the biggest launching points in my career, because I was invested in it. I wanted to help. I instead of being afraid of what I don't understand, I just learn about it. So I learned about approving condo buildings for FHA. I used to go around and do these speak at associations about getting their building FHA approved, because they were afraid of it, because they would say, oh, well, we don't want a bunch of people buying in our building that have bad credit. This FHA is bad. And I would go through and I actually would try an exercise, and I would ask people just to do a kind of a blind study and to put the information, and they didn't have to put their names on it, to find out how much money they put down on their home when they bought their home, and a few questions that helped me very quickly show people that half the people in that room would need to use an FHA loan in that current environment, and how they should not, judge a book by its cover when they just don't understand the lending guidelines. So I use that as a transition to better understand, to help educate people. It was more important then than it ever was. People needed help more then than they ever did, and they needed someone good at it. So it was a different world, and it's very funny, because obviously that segues directly into where we're at now and how that's become, again, it's not the same as 2006 and 2008. We have different factors at play here, but the need for someone who knows what they're doing and is invested in that, and that will help educate and guide you through that, now is more important than it's been ever.